He had her pinned against the bedroom wall before she'd finished saying his name, his mouth claiming hers, with 3 years of starvation finally breaking free. Kwon Dae-jung hadn't felt his own arousal since the poison, hadn't felt heat, hadn't felt need, hadn't felt that primal hunger that made a man lose control, until Thandui walked into his world and his dead body roared back with a vengeance that shocked even him. She'd agreed to be his for 1 month, and to live in his penthouse and let him take her whenever the emptiness crept back in, all for enough money to save her family from poverty. But as his hands stripped away her clothes and his teeth marked her throat, as she arched into him, moaning his name like a prayer, he knew the contract was a lie. 30 days would never be enough, and if she tried to leave when their time was up, he'd chase her to the ends of the earth because she wasn't just his cure. She was his oxygen, and he'd suffocate without her. Hit subscribe. This is going to be spicy, and you don't want to miss any bit of it. The bass thundered through the walls of Velvet Noir, the most exclusive nightclub in downtown Los Angeles. Kwon Dae-jung sat in the private booth on the 2nd floor, his face carved from stone as 2 men in expensive suits talked numbers across the table. They were discussing territory, money, and loyalty, the usual business that kept his organization running like a well-oiled machine. But Dae-jung barely heard a word. For 3 years, he had moved through life like a ghost. He attended meetings, gave orders, and built his empire. But he felt nothing. The poison that nearly killed him had stolen something more precious than his life. It had stolen his ability to feel. No anger, no joy, no desire, nothing. The doctors called it nerve damage. Permanent, they said. He was alive but not living. Tonight felt like every other night. It felt empty, cold and dead inside. Then the lights on the main stage shifted to deep purple, and the crowd below erupted in cheers. Dae-jung glanced down at the stage without interest. Another dancer. He owned this club, so he had seen hundreds of performances. They all blurred together into meaningless movement and fake smiles. But then she stepped into the spotlight, and something inside his chest lurched violently. The woman moving across the stage was different. She had rich brown skin that glowed under the lights like polished bronze. Her body curved in ways that made his mouth go dry. But it was not just her beauty that caught him. It was the way she moved, graceful, confident. Yet there was an innocence in her eyes that did not match her surroundings. She danced like she was telling a story, her hips swaying to the rhythm as if the music lived inside her bones. Dae-jung's heart slammed against his ribs, once, twice, 3 times. His hand gripped the edge of the table so hard his knuckles turned white. Heat spread through his body like wildfire, starting low in his belly, and racing outward until his skin burned. His pants tightened uncomfortably, and shock rippled through him like lightning. This could not be happening. For 3 years, his body had been a useless shell. No woman had stirred even the slightest reaction. He had tried everything. Nothing worked. The doctors told him to accept his new reality. He was broken, finished, but right now, watching this stranger dance, he felt everything. His pulse pounded in his ears. His breath came faster. Blood rushed through his veins like a flood, breaking through a dam, and lower, much lower. His body responded in ways he thought were impossible. Boss, are you listening? Hiroshi, his second in command, touched his shoulder. Dae-jung jerked away, his jaw clenched so tight it hurt. His eyes never left the woman on stage. Who is she? His voice came out rough, almost angry. Hiroshi followed his gaze and shrugged. New girl, started 2 weeks ago, goes by Thandie. Why? Dae-jung did not answer. He could not answer. His entire world had just shifted on its axis, and he did not understand how or why. This woman, this stranger, had done what doctors, medicine, and 3 years of searching could not do. She had made him feel alive again. The song ended, and Thandi disappeared backstage. The crowd screamed for more, but Dae-jung was already on his feet. He moved like a man possessed, taking the stairs 2 at a time. His men scrambled to follow, confused by his sudden urgency. He never acted this way, ever. "Get her," he ordered Hiroshi. "Bring her to the VIP room, now." "Boss, she just finished her set. Maybe give her a few minutes to... now." The single word carried enough weight to make Hiroshi move immediately. Dae-jung stalked to the private VIP room at the back of the club, his mind racing. What was happening to him? Was this real? Could he trust what his body was telling him? 3 years of numbness, and suddenly this woman appears and everything changes. It made no sense, but his body did not lie. He could still feel the heat in his veins, the tightness in his pants, the hunger clawing at his insides. It terrified him, it thrilled him, it made him furious. 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Finally, the door opened, and she walked in. Up close, she was even more beautiful. She had changed into a simple dress that covered more than her stage outfit, but somehow that made her even more appealing. Her hair fell in natural curls around her shoulders. Her brown eyes were wide and cautious, like a deer that sensed danger but had not decided whether to run. "You wanted to see me?" Her voice was soft, with an accent he could not quite place. African, but not one he recognized. Dae-jung stared at her, his chest rising and falling with each breath. He did not know what to say. How could he explain something he did not understand himself? But he needed answers. He needed to know if this was real or if his mind was playing cruel tricks on him. "Sit." He pointed to the leather couch across from him. Thandi hesitated, her fingers twisting the fabric of her dress. "Am I in trouble? Because if I did something wrong, I can..." "Sit. Please." He softened his tone, though it took effort. 3 years of feeling nothing had made him forget how to be gentle. She sat on the edge of the couch, her posture stiff and ready to bolt. Smart girl. She sensed the danger radiating off him. Most people did. He had built his reputation on fear and control. But right now, he felt anything but in control. Dae-jung leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his eyes locked on hers. "What is your name? Your real name?" "Thandiwe. But everyone calls me Thandi." "Thandiwe." He tested the name on his tongue, and even saying it sent a strange thrill through him. "Where are you from?" "Botswana. I came here 2 years ago." She tucked a curl behind her ear, clearly nervous. "Sir, I really do not understand why I am here. Did someone complain about my performance? Because I can do better. I need this job. Please do not fire me." The desperation in her voice caught him off guard. She thought she was in trouble. She thought he was going to take away her livelihood if only she knew the truth, if only he could explain that she had just performed a miracle. "I am not firing you." He paused, trying to find the right words. How could he possibly explain this? 3 years ago, something happened to me. I was poisoned. I survived, but it broke something inside me. I could not feel anything. No emotions, no physical sensations, nothing. He watched her face, saw confusion mixed with sympathy. The doctors said it was permanent, that I would live the rest of my life as an empty shell. Thandi's lips parted slightly. "That sounds horrible." "It was. It is." He stood abruptly, unable to sit still any longer. He paced the room like a caged animal, his hands flexing at his sides. "For 3 years, I have been dead inside. I go through the motions of living, but I feel nothing. No happiness, no sadness, and definitely no..." He stopped, turning to face her fully. "No desire. My body stopped responding to everything, every test, every treatment, every woman. Nothing worked. Understanding began to dawn in her eyes, followed quickly by fear. She started to stand. I should go. Wait. The command in his voice froze her in place. He crossed the room in 3 long strides, stopping just inches from her, close enough that he could smell her perfume, something sweet and warm like vanilla and honey, close enough that the heat from her body made his skin prickle with awareness. I need you to understand what you have done. I have not done anything. Her voice trembled, but she held her ground. Brave, so brave. You have done everything. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and touched her cheek with his fingertips. The contact sent electricity shooting up his arm and straight to his chest. His breath caught, his body tightened with want. After 3 years of nothing, the sensation was almost painful in its intensity. I have not felt my manhood in 3 years until I met you. What did you do to me? Thandi's eyes went wide. She stumbled back, putting distance between them. I do not understand. I am just a dancer. I have not done anything to you. Yet here I stand, feeling things I thought were gone forever. He gestured at himself, at the evidence of his arousal that he could not hide even if he wanted to. You brought me back to life, Thandi, and I need to know why. I need to know how. She shook her head, backing toward the door. You are scaring me. I think I should leave. $50,000. His words stopped her cold. She turned slowly, suspicion and hope warring on her face. What? Have dinner with me tomorrow night. Just dinner. Let me figure out what is happening to me. In exchange, I will give you $50,000. He saw her swallow hard, saw the way her hands trembled. He was offering her more money than she probably made in a year, maybe 2 years. 1 dinner, a few hours of your time. That is all I am asking. Why would you pay that much just to have dinner with me? The suspicion won out. What do you really want? Daejung moved closer again, drawn to her like a magnet. I want to feel alive. For 3 years, I have been walking through a fog, existing, but not living. You cleared that fog. I do not know how or why, but when I look at you, when I am near you, everything comes rushing back. If there is even a chance that you can give me my life back, then $50,000 is nothing. Thandi bit her lip, clearly torn. He could see the battle playing out behind her eyes. She needed the money, desperately. But she also knew that men like him did not offer that kind of money without expecting something in return. Just dinner? She asked carefully. Nothing else? Just dinner. You have my word. He pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. I will transfer half now as a show of good faith, the other half after dinner tomorrow, whether anything happens between us or not. You keep the money. He could see the exact moment she decided. Her shoulders relaxed slightly, and she gave a small nod. Okay, just dinner, but somewhere public, a restaurant. Agreed. He smiled for the first time in 3 years. It felt strange on his face, like his muscles had forgotten how. Give me your number. I will send you the details tomorrow. She recited her number, and he typed it into his phone. $25,000 transferred with the press of a button. Her phone buzzed in her small purse, and she pulled it out. Her eyes went huge when she saw the notification. This is real, she whispered. Very real. He stepped closer one last time, unable to resist. He wanted to touch her again, to confirm that this feeling was not just his imagination. His hand cupped her face, his thumb brushing her soft cheek. Heat exploded through him. His body ached with need. Tomorrow night, Thandiwi. Do not make me wait longer than that. Then he forced himself to step back and let her go. She practically ran from the room, and he did not blame her. He had probably terrified her. But as he watched her disappear through the door, one thing became crystal clear. That woman was either his salvation or his destruction. And he did not care which. After 3 years of feeling nothing, he would take anything she could give him, even if it destroyed them both. Thandi stood outside the tall glass building in Beverly Hills, her stomach twisted in knots. The address Dae-jung had sent her that morning was not a restaurant. It was a residential tower, one of the most expensive in Los Angeles. She had looked it up online. Penthouses here cost millions of dollars. He had lied to her, or at least, he had changed the plan without asking. Her finger hovered over her phone, ready to call a taxi and leave. $25,000 already sat in her bank account. She could keep it and disappear. He would never find her in a city this big. But then she thought about her mother, lying in a hospital bed back in Botswana, about her 3 younger siblings who needed school fees and food. 25,000 would help. 50,000 would change everything. Besides, something about last night had felt real, desperate, yes, intense, absolutely, but real. The way he had looked at her like she was the answer to a prayer he had stopped saying. No one had ever looked at her like that before. Taking a deep breath, she pushed through the glass doors. A man in a black suit waited in the lobby. He looked like security, all hard edges and cold eyes. "Miss Thandiwi?" He did not wait for her answer. "Mr. Kwon is expecting you. This way." He led her to a private elevator that required a key card. The ride up seemed to take forever, her heart pounding harder with each passing floor. What was she doing? She barely knew this man. He could be anyone. He could want anything. But when the elevator doors opened directly into a penthouse apartment, her breath caught. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city stretched out below like a blanket of lights. The furniture was sleek and modern, all clean lines and expensive taste. Art hung on the walls that probably cost more than her entire life back home. And there, standing by the windows with his back to her, was Dae-jung. He turned when he heard the elevator, and the intensity of his gaze hit her like a physical force. He wore black pants and a white shirt, with the sleeves rolled up, showing strong forearms. His dark hair was slightly messy, like he had been running his hands through it. He looked every bit as dangerous as she suspected. "You came." Relief coloured his words. "I was not sure you would." "You said a restaurant." She crossed her arms, trying to look braver than she felt. "This is not a restaurant." "I know. I apologise for the deception." He moved toward her slowly, like he was afraid she might run. "But I could not risk taking you somewhere public. My life is complicated, and being seen with me could put you in danger. This was safer." "Safer for you, you mean?" Thandi stepped back, keeping distance between them. "How do I know you will not hurt me?" "You do not." His honesty surprised her. "But I give you my word that I will not touch you unless you want me to. You can leave at any time. The elevator will take you straight down, no questions asked." She studied his face, looking for lies. But all she saw was that same desperate hunger from last night. He needed something from her, but she did not think it was what most men wanted. At least, not only that. "Fine. But I'm keeping my phone where I can reach it, and I have friends who know where I am." A lie. But he did not need to know that. She had told her roommate about the address, but that was it. Smart. He gestured toward a dining table set for 2 near the windows. Candles flickered even though the city lights made them unnecessary. "I had food prepared. I hope you like Italian." Thandi's stomach growled, betraying her nervousness. She had been too anxious to eat all day. "Italian is fine." They sat across from each other, and servers appeared from somewhere in the apartment to bring plates of pasta, bread, and salad. The food smelled incredible, but she barely tasted it. She was too aware of Dae-jung watching her every movement. You said you needed to understand what is happening to you, she said after several minutes of tense silence. So explain it to me, because I still do not understand how I did anything. Daejung set down his fork, his expression serious. 3 years ago, I was at a business meeting. Someone put poison in my drink. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. I collapsed. My heart stopped twice on the way to the hospital. He touched his chest, right over his heart. The doctors saved my life, but the poison damaged my nervous system. They said I was lucky to be alive at all. But you lost your feelings. Thandi's voice softened despite her caution. She could not imagine living without emotions, without the ability to feel happiness or love or even pain. Everything. Emotions, physical sensations, desire, all of it just disappeared like someone flipped a switch. He leaned back in his chair, his eyes never leaving hers. I tried everything, different doctors, specialists from around the world, medications, therapy. Nothing worked. They told me to accept it, that I would spend the rest of my life this way. That must have been terrible. It was worse than death. His jaw clenched. At least in death, there is peace. But this was like being trapped in a prison inside my own body. I could see life happening around me, but I could not participate. I was just an observer. Thandi felt sympathy bloom in her chest. Whatever else he was, whatever dangerous things he did, he had suffered. She understood suffering. And then, you saw me dance, and everything changed. He stood abruptly, moving to the window. His reflection showed tension in every line of his body. When you stepped onto that stage, my heart started beating again. Really beating, not just pumping blood. I felt heat spread through my body. My skin became sensitive, and I wanted you. He turned to face her, and the raw honesty in his eyes made her shiver. I wanted you with an intensity that terrified me. After 3 years of nothing, suddenly I wanted everything. The air between them felt charged, electric. Thandi gripped the edge of the table. But why me? What makes me different from any other woman? I do not know. Frustration leaked into his voice. I have been around hundreds of women in 3 years. Beautiful women, nothing, not even a flicker. But you, Thandiwe from Botswana, who dances to support her family, you made me feel alive again. How do you know about my family? Alarm bells rang in her head. I had you investigated. I am sorry, but I needed to know who you were. He held up his hands at her outraged expression. I know how that sounds, but I am not a safe man, Thandi. I run an organisation that deals in things the law frowns upon. I have enemies who would love to use anyone close to me as a weapon. I had to make sure you were not sent by them. So, you know everything about me. Anger replaced her sympathy. You know about my mother's illness, about my siblings, about why I came to America. Yes. And I know you send almost every dollar you make back home. I know you live in a tiny apartment with 2 roommates and eat instant noodles most nights so you can afford your mother's treatments. His voice gentled. I also know you are one of the bravest people I have ever met. You left everything you knew, came to a foreign country, and did whatever it took to save your family. That takes incredible strength. Thandi blinked back unexpected tears. No one had ever called her brave before. Desperate, maybe. Foolish, definitely, but never brave. I did what I had to do. Exactly. Daejung moved closer, circling the table until he stood beside her chair. And that is part of what draws me to you. You have this light inside you that nothing has managed to extinguish. Despite everything you have been through, you still have hope, still have goodness. I have been surrounded by darkness for so long, I forgot what light looked like. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she did not, his fingers brushed her hand where it rested on the table. The contact sent sparks racing up her arm. She gasped, and his eyes darkened with satisfaction. "You feel it too?" It was not a question. Yes. The word came out breathless. She did feel it. This strange electricity that seemed to arc between them whenever they touched. But I do not understand it. Neither do I, but I do not care about understanding it anymore. His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand, and each touch made her skin burn hotter. All I care about is that when I touch you, I feel human again. When I look at you, I want things I thought I would never want again. Thandi's heart raced. She should pull away. She should leave right now. But his touch felt like fire and ice and everything in between, and she found herself craving more instead of less. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. Dae-jung pulled her gently to her feet, his hands moving to her waist. Even through her dress, his touch burned. Everything. Nothing. I do not know yet. But I know I cannot let you walk away without exploring this, whatever this is between us. He cupped her face with both hands, his thumbs brushing her cheekbones. His eyes searched hers, looking for permission. She knew she should say no, should run as fast as her legs could carry her. This man was dangerous. He admitted it himself. He lived in a world of violence and crime. But when he looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the universe, when his touch made her feel more alive than she had ever felt, how could she walk away? "Kiss me." The words left her mouth before she could stop them. Dae-jung's control snapped. He pulled her against him, his mouth claiming hers with a hunger that stole her breath. This was not a gentle first kiss. This was 3 years of starvation finally finding sustenance. His lips moved against hers with desperate need, his tongue tracing the seam of her mouth until she opened for him. The taste of him exploded on her tongue. Heat flooded her body, pooling low in her belly, her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. She had been kissed before, but never like this. Never with this intensity, this raw need that made her forget everything except the feel of his body against hers. His hands roamed her back, her sides, learning her curves through the thin fabric of her dress. When his fingers found the zipper, she did not stop him. The dress pooled at her feet, leaving her in just her underwear. She should feel exposed, vulnerable. Instead, she felt powerful, because the look in his eyes was pure worship. "You are perfect." His voice was rough with desire. "So perfect it hurts to look at you." He backed her toward the couch, never breaking the kiss. They fell onto the soft leather together, his weight pressing her into the cushions. His lips left hers to trail down her neck, finding sensitive spots that made her gasp. His hands explored every inch of exposed skin, and everywhere he touched felt like it was on fire. Thandi tugged at his shirt, needing to feel his skin against hers. He helped her pull it over his head, and then there was nothing between them but heat and need. His chest was all hard muscle and smooth skin, marred only by a scar over his heart. She touched it gently. "From the poison," he explained, his breath coming hard. She leaned up and kissed the scar, feeling his whole body shudder in response. Then his mouth was on hers again, kissing her like she was oxygen, and he was drowning. His hands moved lower, and she arched into his touch, lost in sensations she had never experienced before. Time lost meaning. There was only his touch, his taste, the sound of their breathing mixing together. When they finally broke apart, both of them were trembling. His forehead rested against hers, their breaths mingling in the small space between them. "Stay with me tonight." His voice was raw with need. "Please, I am not ready to let you go yet. Thandi knew she should say no, should put her dress back on and leave, but her body still hummed with desire, and the thought of walking away from this feeling made her chest ache. Just tonight, she agreed, knowing it was a lie, because as he lifted her into his arms and carried her toward his bedroom, she realized she was in serious trouble. This dangerous man with his dark world and empty eyes had somehow found a way past all her defences, and she had no idea how she was going to protect her heart when this was over. Thandi woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and silk sheets against her bare skin. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then memories of last night flooded back, and heat rushed to her cheeks. She had stayed. She had done more than stay. The space beside her was empty, but still warm. She sat up, holding the sheet to her chest, and heard sounds coming from another room. Following the noise, she found Dae-jung in the kitchen, shirtless and making coffee. The morning light highlighted every muscle in his back, and she felt that familiar pull low in her belly. He turned when he heard her footsteps, and his eyes darkened as they travelled over her, wearing nothing but his shirt from last night. "Good morning." "Morning." She felt suddenly shy, which was ridiculous after everything they had done in the darkness. "I should probably go. My shift at the club starts at 6. About that." He poured 2 cups of coffee and handed her one. "I have a proposition for you." Something in his tone made her wary. What kind of proposition? "Sit, please." He gestured to the breakfast bar, and she perched on a stool, very aware that she wore nothing under his shirt. "Last night was the first time in 3 years I felt truly alive, not just physically, but emotionally. When I am with you, the fog lifts. I can feel joy, desire, even fear. Everything I thought was dead forever. I am glad I could help." Thandi sipped her coffee, unsure where this was going. "But I really do need to get to work." "What if you did not?" He leaned against the counter across from her, his expression intense. "What if I made you an offer that would solve all your problems?" Her stomach clenched. "I am listening. Stay with me. 1 month. Live here in this penthouse. Be with me whenever I need to feel alive again." He held up a hand when she started to protest. "In exchange, I will pay off every single one of your family's debts. Your mother's medical bills, your siblings' school fees, everything. I will set them up in a proper house with money in the bank. They will never have to worry about money again." The coffee cup trembled in Thandi's hands. "How much are we talking about?" $500,000. She nearly dropped the cup. That was more money than she could earn in 10 years of dancing. That was life-changing, family-saving money. That was her mother getting the surgery she needed, her brothers and sister going to university, a real home instead of a shack with a leaking roof. "Why would you pay that much?" Suspicion crept into her voice. "What exactly would I have to do for this money?" Dae-jung moved around the counter until he stood in front of her, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his skin. "Be mine, only mine. Live here so I can come home to you every night. Let me touch you, kiss you, make love to you whenever this emptiness starts creeping back in." His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her lower lip. "You are my cure, Thandi. The only thing that makes me feel human. I need you." Her heart pounded. "You are asking me to be your mistress, to sell myself to you. I am asking you to save me." His eyes held hers, raw and honest. "But I understand how it sounds. I am essentially buying your time, your body, your presence. If that offends you, tell me to go to hell and walk out that door. I will still transfer the other 25,000 I owe you." Thandi's mind raced. Everything in her screamed that this was wrong. You could not put a price on a person. Her grandmother would be horrified. But then she thought about her mother's tired face on their last video call, about how her sister had dropped out of school because they could not afford fees, about her brothers sharing one pair of shoes between them. 1 month, she said it slowly, testing the words. And then what? You get bored of me and move on to the next woman who makes you feel something. I do not know what happens after 1 month. His honesty surprised her. Maybe the effect wears off. Maybe you get tired of me and my dark world, but I am willing to take that risk if you are. I want conditions. The words came out stronger than she felt. If I am going to do this, we do it my way. Interest flickered in his eyes. Name them. First, you treat me with respect. I am not your property. I am a person making a choice. She set down her coffee cup and stood, needing to feel less vulnerable. Second, I want half the money up front, sent directly to my family, the other half when the month ends, whether you are happy with me or not. Agreed. Third, I can leave any time if I feel unsafe or if you break our agreement, and you let me go without any trouble. Agreed. He stepped closer, his hands finding her waist. Anything else? Yes. She lifted her chin, meeting his gaze. You tell me the truth. About who you are, what you do, the danger I might be in. No more secrets. Dae-jung studied, her face for a long moment. I run a criminal organization. We deal in things that would make you uncomfortable. Import, export, protection, information. I have enemies who would kill me if they had the chance. Being with me puts a target on your back. His grip on her waist tightened. I can protect you, but I cannot promise you will never be in danger. Is that truth enough? Fear trickled down her spine, but she pushed it away. Yes. Then we have a deal. He pulled out his phone and made a call, speaking rapid Korean to whoever answered. When he hung up, he looked at her with something like admiration. $250,000 will be in your family's account within the hour. My lawyers will set up the rest in a trust that releases when our month ends. Tandy's knees went weak. It was real. She had just agreed to sell herself for a month, and she could not even feel guilty about it, because all she could think about was her mother finally getting treatment. I need to get my things from my apartment. I will send people to pack and move everything here. His hand slid under the shirt she wore, finding bare skin. Right now, I need you. Again, we just woke up. But even as she protested, her body responded to his touch, heat pooling between her thighs. I told you. When I am with you, I feel everything. And right now, I feel greedy. He lifted her onto the counter, stepping between her legs. Tell me to stop if you want me to stop. She should stop him, should keep some distance. Remember that this was a business arrangement. But when his mouth found the sensitive spot on her neck, when his hands pushed the shirt up and off, when he looked at her like she was water in a desert, all her good intentions melted away. Do not stop. The words came out breathless. He made love to her right there in the kitchen, the morning sun warming their skin. It was different from last night's desperate hunger. This was slower, deeper, as if he was memorizing every inch of her body. His hands worshipped her curves. His mouth left marks on her throat and chest that would bloom into bruises tomorrow. And when he finally pushed inside her, she cried out at how perfectly they fit together. Look at me. His command made her eyes fly open. I want to see your face when you come apart. She could not look away if she tried. His eyes held hers as he moved, each thrust, sending pleasure spiraling through her body. His fingers found the sensitive bundle of nerves between her legs, circling until she thought she might scream. The pressure built and built, coiling tighter in her belly. Dae-jung, His name fell from her lips like a prayer. Let go, Thandiwi, let me see you. His words pushed her over the edge. Pleasure exploded through her, so intense she saw stars. Her body clenched around him, and she heard him groan as he followed her into bliss. They stayed frozen like that for long moments, both breathing hard, both trembling. When he finally pulled back, he rested his forehead against hers. I could get addicted to this, to you. That is what you are paying for. She meant it to sound light, but it came out sad instead. No. He tilted her chin up. I am paying for your time. This, what happens between us, cannot be bought. This is real. She wanted to believe him. God, how she wanted to believe that this was more than a transaction. But she had agreed to be bought, and no amount of pleasure or pretty words could change that. I should shower and get dressed. She slipped off the counter, suddenly needing space. If I am moving in, I need to call my roommates and let them know. He let her go, but she felt his eyes on her as she walked toward the bathroom. In the shower, she let the hot water wash away the evidence of their morning together, but it could not wash away the feeling of his hands on her skin or the memory of how he had looked at her like she was his salvation. She had made a deal with the devil. A month of her life in exchange for her family's future. It should feel wrong. It should feel dirty. So why did it feel like the most right thing she had ever done? By that evening, all her belongings sat in boxes in Dae-jung's bedroom. He had people unpack while she watched, feeling strange about letting strangers handle her cheap clothes and second-hand books. But he insisted, saying she should rest after such a big decision. When night fell and they were finally alone, he led her to his bedroom. Really looked at it this time. The massive bed with its dark sheets, the sitting area by the windows, the bathroom that was bigger than her old apartment. This is surreal! She touched the silk curtains. Yesterday, I was a dancer, living in a cramped apartment. Today, I am living in a penthouse with a man I barely know. Then let me help you know me. Dae-jung came up behind her, his arms wrapping around her waist. Ask me anything. The scar on your chest. She turned in his arms to face him. Tell me about that night, the night you were poisoned. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. I was meeting with a supplier, someone I had worked with for years. I trusted him. He pulled away, unbuttoning his shirt. That trust nearly killed me. As the shirt fell away, she saw more scars. Some were thin and silver with age. Others were newer, still slightly pink. Each one told a story of violence and survival. He put the poison in my whiskey while I was distracted. By the time I tasted the bitterness, it was too late. His fingers traced the scar over his heart. They said my heart stopped for 3 minutes in the ambulance. When they revived me, I thought the worst was over. But then I realized I could not feel anything anymore. The poison had destroyed something in my brain. Thandi reached out and touched each scar gently. I am sorry that happened to you. Do not be sorry for me. He caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. If it had not happened, I would never have needed you. Never have found you. Maybe everything happens for a reason. That is a beautiful thought. She stepped closer, resting her head against his chest, but you paid a terrible price. And now you are paying one too. His arms tightened around her, living with a dangerous man, giving up your freedom for money. I made my choice. She looked up at him. No one forced me, but I am the one who made the offer. I am the one who put you in this position. Guilt shadowed his features. If you want to back out, I will still help your family. You do not have to do this. The offer surprised her. He could have kept quiet, could have taken what he bought, but instead, he was giving her an out. That told her more about his character than anything else could. I am staying. She pulled his head down and kissed him softly. For better or worse, I am staying. He responded by sweeping her up into his arms and carrying her to the bed. They made love again, but this time felt different, more tender, more real. He took his time exploring her body, learning what made her gasp and moan, and when she touched his scars with gentle fingers, he shuddered, like she was healing him with her hands. Afterward, they lay tangled together, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Strong and steady. Alive. Thank you. His voice rumbled under her ear. For what? For giving me one more month of feeling human. Whatever happens after that, at least I will have this. Thandi closed her eyes, trying not to think about the end. About what would happen when 30 days passed and she had to walk away from this man who made her feel things she had never felt before. She had thought she was selling her body for money, but lying here in his arms, feeling his fingers trace lazy patterns on her skin, she realized the truth. She was not worried about selling her body. She was worried about giving away her heart. The next morning, Thandi woke to find Dae-jung already dressed in a sharp black suit. He looked every inch the powerful man he was, and the sight made her stomach flutter. I have meetings today. He leaned down to kiss her, his lips lingering. Hiroshi will be here soon to go over security protocols with you. Do not leave the building without one of my men. I mean it, Thandiwe. I am a prisoner then? She sat up, clutching the sheet. You are protected. There is a difference. His eyes softened. I will be back by dinner. There is food in the kitchen and anything you want can be delivered. My credit card is on the counter. Use it. After he left, she explored the penthouse properly. The kitchen had more food than she could eat in a month. The closet in the bedroom now held not just her old clothes, but new ones, with designer tags still attached. Dresses, jeans, shoes, everything in her size. He had gone shopping for her without asking. She should feel grateful. Instead, she felt bought. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. When she opened it, a Japanese man in his 40s stood there, his expression unreadable. Miss Tandaiwe, I am Hiroshi, Mr. Kwon's second in command. He bowed slightly. May I come in? She stepped aside, and he entered with the confidence of someone who had been here many times before. He pulled out a tablet and began explaining security measures, panic buttons, approved drivers, and a list of rules that made her head spin. This seems excessive. She interrupted his explanation of the building's 12 security cameras. Am I really in that much danger? Hiroshi looked at her with something like pity. Miss Thandiwe, do you understand who Dae-jung is? What he does? He runs a criminal organization. He runs the most powerful Korean syndicate on the West Coast. He controls ports, smuggling routes, and has connections to organizations across the Pacific. Hiroshi set down his tablet. He has enemies who would love nothing more than to hurt him through someone he cares about. And make no mistake, he cares about you. He barely knows me. Yet he is paying you $500,000 to stay with him. Hiroshi's eyes narrowed. Many women have tried to get close to him over the years. Beautiful women, connected women, dangerous women. He never looked at any of them twice. But you, a dancer from Botswana with no connections and no agenda, you made him feel again. That makes you either very special or very dangerous. I am not dangerous. Indignation flared in her chest. I am just trying to help my family. Then let me give you some advice. Hiroshi leaned forward. Do not fall in love with him. Do not think this will last beyond your month. Dae-jung lives in darkness, and people who get too close to him get burned. Take your money, help your family, and walk away clean. Anything else will only end in heartbreak. His words stung because they echoed her own fears. "Thank you for the advice. I hope you listen to it." He stood and headed for the door. "The boss wants you to accompany him to Las Vegas tomorrow. A private jet leaves at noon. Pack something nice." After Hiroshi left, Thandi sat in the huge living room, feeling smaller than ever. What had she gotten herself into? This was not just about spending time with a man who needed her. This was about entering a world of violence and crime where people got hurt and lives got destroyed. Her phone buzzed. A message from her sister showed a picture of their mother, smiling in a new hospital bed. "The doctors say they can do the surgery next week. Thank you, thank you, thank you." Thandi's eyes filled with tears. This was why. Whatever happened to her, whatever price she paid, her family would be safe and healthy. That had to be enough. When Dae-jung came home that evening, he found her cooking in the kitchen. She had found ingredients and made a traditional dish from home, needing something familiar to ground her. "It smells incredible." He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, nuzzling her neck. "What is it?" "Szechuan, pounded, meat with pap." She stirred the pot, trying to ignore how good he felt pressed against her back. "I thought you might want to try food from my country. I want to try everything about your country, starting with you." His hands slid under her shirt, finding bare skin. "The food will burn." But she tilted her head, giving him better access to her neck. "Let it burn." He turned her around and lifted her onto the counter, just like yesterday morning. His kiss was hungry, possessive, as if being away from her all day had starved him. "I could not stop thinking about you. In every meeting, every conversation, all I wanted was to come home to this, to you." She should tell him to wait, to let her finish cooking, but his hands were already stripping away her clothes, his mouth trailing fire down her throat. When he pushed inside her, she forgot about everything except the pleasure building in her core. They barely made it to dinner. The food was slightly burned, but neither of them cared. They ate in comfortable silence, stealing glances and touches across the table. Hiroshi came by today. She finally broke the silence. "He told me about Las Vegas." "Ah, yes. I have a meeting there tomorrow, and I want you with me." He reached across to take her hand. "I know it is not the safest thing, bringing you into my world like this, but I do not want to be apart from you." He also warned me not to fall in love with you. She watched his face carefully. "He said you live in darkness and people close to you get burned." Dae-jung's expression hardened. "Hiroshi is protective. He has been with me since the beginning. But he is not wrong. My life is dangerous, Thandiwe. If you want to stay here where it is safe, I understand." "No." The word came out before she could think. "I will go with you. We have a deal. Remember? 1 month. I want to see all of who you are, not just the parts you show me in this penthouse." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise? Respect? "Then pack something beautiful. I want everyone to see that you are mine." The possessiveness in his voice should have bothered her. Instead, it sent heat pooling low in her belly. She was in so much trouble. That night in bed, after he had made love to her so thoroughly she could barely move, she traced the scars on his chest in the darkness. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "The life you chose?" "Every day." His honesty surprised her. "But I was born into this world. My father ran the organization before me. I tried to leave once, tried to have a normal life, but they pulled me back in. And after the poisoning, after I lost the ability to feel, I stopped caring about right and wrong. I just existed. And now I have something to lose again." His arms tightened around her. "You made me care, Thandi, about living, about feeling, about tomorrow. I do not know if that is a gift or a curse. Maybe it is both. She kissed his chest, right over his heart. But at least you are alive, again. The flight to Las Vegas the next day was surreal. Thandi had never been on a private jet before. Leather seats, a full bar, a bedroom in the back. Daejung worked on his laptop while she stared out the window, watching clouds pass below. Nervous? He closed his laptop and came to sit beside her. Should I be? Probably. His thumb brushed her cheek. But I will be with you the entire time. No one will touch you. I promise. The meeting took place in a private room at one of the big casinos. Men in expensive suits filled the space, speaking in Korean and English. Thandi stayed close to Dae-jung's side, feeling out of place in her new designer dress. Everything seemed fine until one of the other men made a comment in Korean. She did not understand the words, but she understood the tone, mocking, dismissive. Several men laughed. Dae-jung's hand shot out, grabbing the man's throat. In seconds, the room erupted into chaos. Guns appeared from nowhere. Shouting filled the air. Dae-jung pushed Thandi behind him, shielding her with his body. Say one more word about her. His voice was deadly calm, despite the violence crackling in the air. I dare you! The man choked out an apology. Slowly, tension drained from the room. Guns disappeared. People sat back down. But the meeting was over. In the car back to the airport, Thandi's hands shook. What did he say about me? Nothing that matters. Dae-jung's jaw was still clenched. He disrespected you. No one disrespects what is mine. I am not a possession. Anger cut through her fear. You cannot just threaten to kill people because they said something mean. In my world, disrespect leads to weakness. Weakness leads to death. He turned to face her. I need people to know that touching you means death. It is the only way to keep you safe. She wanted to argue, to tell him that violence was not the answer. But she had seen the guns, seen how quickly things could turn deadly. This was his world, dark, dangerous, and brutal. Back in Los Angeles, safe in the penthouse, he pulled her into his arms. I am sorry you saw that. I am not. She surprised herself with the truth. I needed to see who you really are, what your life is really like. And are you running yet? He held his breath, waiting for her answer. Thandi thought about it, about the violence, the danger, the darkness that surrounded him. But she also thought about how he had protected her without hesitation, how he had defended her honor, how he looked at her like she was his entire world. No. She pulled his head down for a kiss. I am not running. Relief flooded his features before his mouth claimed hers in a kiss that was equal parts gratitude and hunger. He made love to her right there against the door, unable to wait until they reached the bedroom. And she matched his intensity, her nails digging into his shoulders, her legs wrapping around his waist. Later, lying in bed with the city lights twinkling outside, she realized the truth Hiroshi had tried to warn her about. She was falling in love with Kwon Dae-jung, and in 3 more weeks, she would have to walk away and pretend her heart was not breaking. Thandi walked down Rodeo Drive with 2 of Dae-jung's guards trailing 10 feet behind her. The sun was warm on her shoulders, and shopping bags filled with clothes she never dreamed of owning hung from her arms. 3 weeks had passed since she moved into the penthouse. 3 weeks of learning to live in his world. 3 weeks of falling deeper into something that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. She stopped in front of a jewelry store, admiring a bracelet in the window. It was delicate and beautiful. Nothing like the heavy pieces Dae-jung kept trying to buy her. She preferred simple things, things that reminded her she was still the same girl from Gaborone, even if her life had transformed into something unrecognizable. Miss Okafor, we should head back soon. One of the guards, A man named Derek stepped closer. The boss does not like you being out too long. 5 more minutes. She smiled at him. I promise. She turned to look at another store window, and that was when everything went wrong. A van screeched to a stop beside her. Doors flew open. Hands grabbed her from behind, yanking her backward. She tried to scream, but something pressed over her mouth. Chemical smell, sweet and sickening. Her vision blurred. Through the haze, she saw Derek reach for his gun, heard gunshots, saw him fall. Then darkness swallowed her whole. When consciousness returned, pain throbbed in her head. Her wrists were tied behind her back, the rope cutting into her skin. She was in a chair in what looked like an old warehouse. Dim light filtered through dirty windows high above. The smell of oil and rust filled her nose. 3 men stood around her, speaking in rapid Mandarin. She did not understand the words, but their tone was clear. They were pleased with themselves. She is awake. One of them switched to accented English. Good. Time to send message to Korean dog. Terror shot through her. This was about Dae-jung. These were his enemies, and she was their weapon against him. One of the men pulled out a phone and aimed it at her. Smile for your boyfriend. He will kill you. The words came out hoarse but fierce. All of you. He will tear this city apart to find me. The man laughed. Let him try. By the time he figures out where you are, you will already be dead. But first, we make him suffer. He grabbed her face roughly, forcing her to look at the camera. Tell him goodbye, little bird. Tell him his weakness will be his death. Before she could speak, he backhanded her across the face. Pain exploded in her cheek. Blood filled her mouth. The camera kept recording, capturing her pain, her fear. They wanted Dae-jung to see her suffer. Enough. Another man spoke. Send it. Let him know what happens when he refuses to share territory. The hours that followed were the longest of her life. They left her tied to the chair, alone in the vast warehouse. Her face throbbed. Her wrists bled from struggling against the ropes. But worse than the physical pain was the fear. What if Dae-jung could not find her in time? What if they killed her before he arrived? What if this was how she died, in a dirty warehouse far from home, all because she had been foolish enough to fall for a dangerous man? She thought about her family, about her mother's smile in the last video call, healthy and happy thanks to the surgery, about her siblings going to good schools now, their futures bright. At least she had given them that. At least her choice had meant something. But God, she did not want to die. Not now. Not when she had just discovered what it felt like to be truly alive. The warehouse door exploded inward with a crash that made her scream. Gunfire erupted, so loud it hurt her ears. Men shouted. More shots. The smell of gunpowder filled the air, then silence. Footsteps ran toward her. She flinched, expecting violence. Instead, Dae-jung dropped to his knees in front of her, his face a mask of fury and fear. Thandiwe! His hands shook as he cut through the ropes binding her wrists. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? My face. She could barely speak through her split lip. They hit me. Something terrifying crossed his features. He stood and turned to where Hiroshi held one of her kidnappers at gunpoint. The man was bleeding from his shoulder, begging in Mandarin. Wait outside. Dae-jung's voice was ice. All of you, take Thandiwe to the car. Boss, you should not... Hiroshi started. I said, take her to the car. Now. Hiroshi helped Thandi to her feet. Her legs barely held her weight. As he led her toward the exit, she looked back. Dae-jung stood over the wounded man, his gun in his hand, his entire body radiating violence. Please. The kidnapper switched to broken English. Please. Mercy. You touched what is mine. Dae-jung's voice was empty of all emotion. There is no mercy for that. The gunshot echoed as Hiroshi pushed Thandi out the door. She stumbled, the sound ringing in her ears. She had known Dae-jung was dangerous, had seen glimpses of his violence, but hearing him execute a man in cold blood was different. That was the reality of his world: kill or be killed. In the car, she shook uncontrollably. Hiroshi wrapped a blanket around her shoulders and handed her water. "Drink. You are in shock. He killed him." Her voice sounded far away. "Just killed him without hesitation. That man kidnapped you, beat you, would have killed you." Hiroshi's expression was grim. "In our world, that deserves death. The boss was merciful. He could have made him suffer much longer." Thandi could not process that, could not understand a world where a quick execution was considered mercy, but her body knew what her mind refused to accept. She was alive because Dae-jung had been ruthless. If he had hesitated, shown mercy, negotiated, she might be dead right now. Dae-jung emerged from the warehouse minutes later, blood splattered on his white shirt. He climbed into the back seat beside her and immediately pulled her into his arms. His whole body trembled. "I thought I lost you." His voice cracked. "When I saw that video, saw them hurt you, I lost my mind. I tore through every contact, every informant, every enemy until someone talked. I would have burned this entire city down to find you. You found me." She clung to him, needing his solid warmth to chase away the cold fear. "I am here. I am safe. Because of me, you were taken. Because of me, you were hurt." He pulled back to examine her face, his thumb gently touching the bruise blooming on her cheek. Rage flickered in his eyes. "I should have killed them slower, should have made them suffer the way they made you suffer." "Stop." She caught his hand. "Just take me home. Please. I just want to go home." The penthouse had never felt more welcoming. Dae-jung led her straight to the bathroom and started filling the huge tub with hot water. He added oils that smelled like lavender and vanilla. Then he helped her undress, his touch gentle despite the violence still humming through him. "Let me take care of you." He lifted her into the tub and climbed in behind her, still wearing his bloody clothes. He did not seem to notice or care. His only focus was on washing the dirt and fear from her skin. Thandi leaned back against his chest, letting his hands soothe her. He washed her hair carefully, avoiding the tender spot on her scalp where they had grabbed her. He cleaned the cuts on her wrists with gentle fingers, and when she finally started crying, he simply held her, letting her tears mix with the bathwater. "I was so scared." The admission broke free. "I thought I would never see you again, never see my family. I thought I would die in that place. Never." His arms tightened around her. "I would move heaven and earth to get to you. There is nowhere in this world you could be that I would not find you." "Why?" She turned in his arms to face him. "Why do you care so much? This was supposed to be a business arrangement. 1 month of my time for money. That was the deal." Dae-jung cupped her face in both hands, his eyes burning with intensity. "The deal changed the moment you walked into my life. I was dead inside, Thandiwi, a walking corpse going through the motions of living, but you brought me back. You made me feel joy and fear and hope and desire. You made me want to wake up in the morning, and somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you." Her breath caught. "What?" "I love you." He said it again, stronger this time. "I know I have no right. I know this was supposed to be temporary, but I fell in love with you and I cannot take it back. I will not take it back." Tears streamed down her face. "I love you too. God help me. I love you too." He kissed her then, soft and reverent, tasting her tears on his lips. "Say it, again." "I love you." She kissed him back. "I love you, Kwon Dae-jung." Something in him broke open. He lifted her from the tub, water streaming from their bodies, and carried her to the bed. This time, when he made love to her, everything was different. There was no desperate hunger, no frantic need, just slow, deep reverence. He worshipped every inch of her skin with his mouth, kissed every bruise and cut like he could heal them with his touch. When he finally pushed inside her, she gasped at how deeply she felt it. Not just physically, but emotionally, like their souls were connecting along with their bodies. You are everything. He moved slowly, making her feel every inch of him, my salvation, my redemption, my reason for living. She wrapped her legs around his waist, pulling him deeper. Show me how much you love me. He made love to her for hours, bringing her to peak after peak, until she was trembling and spent. And when they finally lay tangled together in the darkness, both exhausted and complete, she knew the truth. This was not a business arrangement anymore. This was not about money or deals or temporary fixes. This was real, raw, permanent. She had given him her body for money. But somewhere along the way, she had given him her heart for free. The month is almost over. She whispered the words into the darkness. What happens then? Daejung's arms tightened around her. Then we tear up the contract and write a new one that does not have an end date. You want me to stay. Hope bloomed in her chest. I want you to stay forever. He kissed her forehead. Marry me, Thandiwi. Not because of a deal or money, but because I cannot imagine my life without you in it. She should say no, should tell him it was too fast, too dangerous, too complicated. But after today, after nearly losing everything, she knew the truth. Life was too short to waste on fear. Yes, she kissed him deeply. Yes, I will marry you. They sealed the promise with their bodies, coming together one more time in the darkness, and as she fell asleep in his arms, Thandi knew she had made the right choice. Whatever dangers lay ahead, whatever challenges they faced, they would face them together. She had walked into his darkness and brought him light. Now they would create their own path forward, built on love instead of deals, on choice instead of obligation. The month was almost over, but their forever was just beginning. 2 days after the kidnapping, Thandi woke to find Daejung already dressed and on his phone, speaking rapid Korean. When he saw her awake, he ended the call and came to sit on the edge of the bed. How is your face? He touched the bruise gently. It had turned purple and yellow, making her look like she had been in a fight, which, she supposed, she had. Sore, but I will live. She caught his hand. What were you planning on the phone? You have that look. What look? The look you get when you are about to do something big and possibly crazy. She sat up, pulling the sheet around her. Tell me. Daejung took a deep breath. I want to meet your family. Your real family, not just video calls. I want them to come here so I can look your mother in the eye and ask her permission to marry you properly. Shock rippled through her. You want to fly my family from Botswana to Los Angeles? I already did. They land tomorrow at my house in Malibu. He watched her face carefully. I should have asked first, but I wanted to surprise you. Are you angry? Angry? I am terrified. She pressed her hands to her cheeks. My mother is going to take one look at this bruise and demand answers. She will never approve of you once she knows the truth. Then I will tell her the truth and accept whatever judgment she makes. His expression was serious. I will not lie to the woman who raised you. She deserves honesty. The next day, they drove to Malibu in tense silence. Daejung had a beach house there that Thandi had never seen. When they pulled up, her jaw dropped. It was not a house. It was a mansion right on the sand, with huge windows and a pool that seemed to blend into the ocean. You own this. She stared at the building. I bought it years ago, but never used it. It felt empty. He helped her out of the car. But now, it can be filled with the people you love. That makes it a home. Before she could respond, the front door burst open and 3 figures ran out screaming her name. Her siblings, Kagosi, her 15-year-old brother, Tumalo, 13, and Mfo, her baby sister at 11. They crashed into her with hugs and tears, talking over each other. "You look so different." Mpo touched her new clothes. "Like a movie star. Is that your boyfriend?" Kagosi eyed Daejung suspiciously. "He looks mean. Mama wants to see you right now." Tumalo grabbed her hand. "She has been pacing since we got here." Thandi's mother stood in the doorway, her arms crossed. Naledi Okafor was a small woman with silver threading through her black hair, but she had the presence of someone much larger. Her sharp eyes took in everything at once: the expensive house, the fancy car, Daejung's dangerous elegance, and most importantly, the bruise on her daughter's face. "Inside. Now." Her mother's voice left no room for argument. "You too, Mr. Kwon? We need to talk." The children scattered to explore the house, while Thandi and Daejung followed Naledi into a sitting room. Her mother sat in a chair like it was a throne, her back straight, her expression unreadable. "Explain." She pointed at Thandi's face. "Explain how my daughter, who left home healthy and whole, now has a face that looks like someone beat her." "Mama, it is not what you think," Thandi started. "I am not talking to you yet. I am talking to him." Naledi's gaze pinned Daejung. "You are the man who has been sending money, the man who paid for my surgery, the man my daughter is living with, so you tell me how she got hurt." Daejung did not flinch. Under her stare, "She was kidnapped by my enemies, because they knew hurting her would hurt me. They beat her and planned to kill her. I got there in time to save her, but not in time to prevent that bruise." Silence filled the room. Naledi's expression did not change, but something flickered in her eyes. "Your enemies? Because you are a criminal." "Yes, I run a criminal organization. I deal in illegal activities. I have enemies who would use anyone close to me as a weapon." He leaned forward, his voice steady. "I will not lie to you about who I am or what I do. Your daughter deserves better than lies, and so do you. And yet you let her into this life." Naledi's voice rose. "You put my baby in danger?" "Mama," Thandi tried again. "No." Her mother held up a hand. "Let him answer." "I did." Daejung's honesty was brutal. "I offered her money to stay with me because I needed her. I was selfish and desperate. But I promise you this, Mrs. Okafor, I will protect her with my life. I will give her everything she could ever want, and I will love her until my last breath." "Love." Naledi said the word like it tasted bitter. "You think love is enough to keep her safe in your world? No. But love combined with power, resources, and absolute ruthlessness toward anyone who threatens her might be." He met her gaze without wavering. "I cannot promise she will never be in danger, but I can promise that anyone who tries to hurt her will die screaming." Thandi expected her mother to be horrified. Instead, Naledi studied Daejung with new interest. "You killed the men who took her?" "Yes." "Good." The word surprised everyone. Naledi stood and walked to the window overlooking the ocean. "When Thandi's father died, I learned something about the world. Good men die young, while bad men live forever. The world is not fair. It is not kind. Sometimes you need a dangerous man to survive in a dangerous world." She turned to look at her daughter. "Do you love him, Thandi? Truly love him, not just the money or security he provides?" "Yes, Mama." Thandi's voice was firm. "I love him more than I thought I could love anyone. And you?" Naledi looked at Daejung. "Do you love my daughter, or is she just convenient?" She is the inconvenient thing that ever happened to me. A small smile touched his lips. She made me feel again after 3 years of numbness. She brought light into my darkness. She is everything I do not deserve and everything I cannot live without. I love her completely. Naledi was quiet for a long moment. Then she walked to Dae-jung and held out her hand. You hurt her, and I will find a way to hurt you back. Money and power will not protect you from a mother's vengeance. Understand? Understood. He shook her hand, and Thandi saw respect in both their faces. Now, show me this house my daughter will be living in. Naledi's stern expression cracked into a small smile. And tell me you have food. That airplane food was terrible. Dinner that night was chaos. The kids ran around exploring. Naledi asked 1,000 questions, and Dae-jung tried his best to be welcoming, despite clearly having no idea how to interact with children. Watching him attempt to explain his work in terms an 11-year-old could understand made Thandi fall even more in love with him. After dinner, while her family explored the beach, Dae-jung pulled Thandi aside. There is someone else I want you to meet. Someone important to me. They drove to a small house in the hills, modest compared to his other properties. An elderly Korean man answered the door, his face weathered but kind. Master Choi. Dae-jung bowed deeply, showing more deference than Thandi had ever seen from him. Thank you for seeing us. Come in, come in. Master Choi ushered them inside. His home was simple but comfortable, filled with books and plants. He served tea while studying Thandi with bright, curious eyes. So, this is the woman who performed a miracle. I do not know about miracles. Thandi accepted the teacup. I am just a dancer from Botswana. Do not be modest. Master Choi smiled. I have known Dae-jung since he was a boy, running from his father's enemies. I helped him build his organization, taught him how to survive in this brutal world, and I watched him die inside 3 years ago when the poison stole his ability to feel. He reached over and patted her hand. You brought him back to life. That is a miracle in my book. She did more than that. Dae-jung set down his cup. She made me want to live again, made me believe I could have something beyond power and control. She gave me hope. Master Choi nodded slowly. Hope is dangerous for men like us. It makes you vulnerable, but it also makes you human. He looked at Thandi. You have a difficult road ahead. Loving a man like Dae-jung means living in the shadows, always looking over your shoulder. Are you strong enough for that? I do not know. Her honesty surprised her. But I know I am strong enough to try. Good answer. Master Choi stood and went to a shelf, pulling down a small wooden box. Inside was a delicate jade bracelet. This belonged to my wife. She died many years ago, but she would have wanted you to have it. She always said jade brings protection and good fortune. You will need both. Tears filled Thandi's eyes as he placed the bracelet on her wrist. Thank you. I will treasure it. On the drive back to Malibu, Dae-jung was quiet. Finally he said, Master Choi never speaks about his wife. He loved her deeply, and when she died, part of him died too. For him to give you her bracelet means he approves. He sees in us what he had with her. What is that? True love. He pulled the car over suddenly, turning to face her. Thandiwe, our month is over tomorrow. The contract ends, but I do not want it to end. I want forever with you. I want that too. She touched his face. But I am scared. Your world almost killed me once. What if next time you do not get there in time? Then I will die trying. His intensity stole her breath. I know I am asking you to give up a normal life, to always be in danger, to live in the shadows, but I swear to you, I will spend every day making sure you never regret choosing me. Thandi thought about her mother's words. Sometimes you need a dangerous man to survive in a dangerous world. She thought about Master Choi's wife, who had loved a man in the shadows and found happiness anyway. She thought about her own heart, which had already made its choice. Then forever starts now. She kissed him deeply. No more contracts, no more deals, just us, choosing each other every day. They made love in the car, unable to wait until they got back to the house. It was passionate and desperate and perfect. And when they finally returned to Malibu, hand in hand, her family knew, without asking, that something had changed. You are staying with him. Her mother said it as fact, not question. Yes, Mama, I am staying. Naledi pulled her daughter into a tight hug. Then be happy. That is all I ever wanted for you. Just be happy and stay alive. That night, lying in bed with Daejung's arms around her and her family sleeping safely down the hall, Thandi realized something profound. She had come to America to save her family, but in the process, she had found her own salvation. She had found love in the darkest place. And now, with the month over and forever beginning, she finally understood the truth. Love was not about safety or security. It was about finding someone worth risking everything for, and Kwon Dae-jung was worth every risk. The penthouse felt like a tomb without her. Dae-jung stood by the windows, staring out at the city lights that suddenly meant nothing. 7 days. It had been 7 days since Thandi packed her things and moved back to her tiny apartment in Koreatown. 7 days since she said she needed time to think. 7 days of slowly dying inside all over again. The numbness was creeping back, not as complete as before, but enough that he noticed. Food tasted bland. Colours seemed duller. Even anger felt distant and muted. She had warned him this might happen. That maybe the effect was temporary, that maybe his body would adjust and stop responding to her presence. But he knew the truth. It was not that his body was adjusting, it was that his soul was breaking. His phone rang. Hiroshi's name flashed on the screen. What is it? His voice came out flat, emotionless. The San Francisco group is making moves again. They think you are weak now that the girl is gone. We need to respond before they see an opening. Handle it. He ended the call without waiting for a response. He could not care about territory disputes or power plays. Not when the only thing that mattered was missing from his life. A knock at the door interrupted his spiral into darkness. He ignored it. Whoever it was could come back later, or never. He did not care anymore. The knock came again, more insistent this time. Then he heard the keypad beep. Someone was using the code he had given to only one person. His heart, which had been barely beating, suddenly slammed against his ribs. The door opened, and Thandibi stepped inside. She looked exhausted. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore jeans and a sweater, nothing fancy. Dark circles shadowed her eyes like she had not slept in days. But to him, she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. You came back. The words scraped out of his throat. I tried to stay away. She closed the door behind her, leaning against it like she needed the support. For 7 days, I tried to convince myself I could go back to my old life, that I could forget you and be safe and normal again. And he did not dare move, afraid if he did, she might disappear like smoke, and I was miserable. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Every morning I woke up reaching for you. Every night I lay in that tiny bed, remembering how it felt to sleep in your arms. I tried to go back to the club, but the music made me think of the first night you saw me. I tried to plan for nursing school, but all I could think about was building a future with you. Dae-young crossed the room in 3 long strides, pulling her against him. She fit perfectly, like she was made to be there. I thought I lost you, thought you decided the danger was too much. It is too much. She looked up at him, her brown eyes swimming with emotion. Your world is violent and dangerous. I will never have a normal life. I will always be looking over my shoulder. Our children, if we have them, will grow up with bodyguards and threats. She grabbed his shirt, fisting the fabric. But none of that matters because I cannot breathe without you. I cannot live without you. I choose you, Daejung. I choose us. I choose this life, danger and all. Something broke open inside his chest. Relief, joy, love, all of it flooding through him so intensely it hurt. Say it again. I choose you. She pulled his head down, her lips a breath away from his. Forever. No more running. No more doubts. Just us against the world. He kissed her with everything he had. All the fear from the past week, all the love he had been holding back, all the desperate need to make her understand. She was his entire universe. She kissed him back just as fiercely, her hands tangling in his hair, her body pressing against his. I need you. His voice was rough with desire. Right now. I need to know this is real. Then take me. She pulled her sweater over her head, revealing bare skin underneath. Show me I made the right choice. Daejung lifted her into his arms, carrying her to the bedroom. But this time, he did not rush. This time he wanted to savor every second. He laid her on the bed gently, following her down. His hands traced the curves of her body like he was relearning sacred ground. You are so beautiful. He kissed her neck, her collarbone, the valley between her breasts. So perfect, so mine. She arched into his touch, her breath coming faster. I missed this. Missed you touching me. I will touch you every day for the rest of our lives. He removed her jeans slowly, kissing every inch of skin as it was revealed. I will worship you every morning and every night until you forget what it feels like to doubt this. When she was finally bare beneath him, he took a moment just to look, to memorize the way she looked in the moonlight streaming through the windows. Her brown skin glowed. Her curves called to his hands. Her eyes held nothing but love and trust. You are overdressed. She reached for his shirt, unbuttoning it with trembling fingers. I want to feel your skin against mine. He helped her strip away his clothes until nothing separated them but air and desire. Then he covered her body with his, skin to skin, heart to heart. The sensation was overwhelming. Every nerve ending fired at once. Heat and need crashed through him like a tidal wave. I love you. He entered her slowly, watching her face as pleasure bloomed across her features. I will love you until the day I die. I love you too. She wrapped her legs around his waist, pulling him deeper. Make me forget I was ever afraid. Make me forget everything but this. He made love to her with an intensity born of desperation and relief. Every thrust said what words could not, that she was his air, his light, his reason for existing, that losing her would have destroyed him completely, that having her back was a miracle he would never take for granted. She moved with him, matching his rhythm, her nails digging into his back. The pleasure built between them, winding tighter and tighter until neither could hold back any longer. When she cried out his name, shattering in his arms, he followed her over the edge, buried deep inside her where he belonged. They lay tangled together afterward, both trembling and breathless. Daejung rolled to his side, pulling her against him so they lay face to face in the darkness. Marry me. The words came out raw and honest, not because of a deal or obligation. Marry me because you cannot imagine your life without me in it, the same way I cannot imagine mine without you. Yes. She did not hesitate. Yes, I will marry you. Today, tomorrow, whenever you want. Tomorrow, then. He kissed her softly. I will get a license, find a judge, and make you mine legally and officially before you can change your mind again. She laughed, the sound like music to his ears. I am not changing my mind. I am all in, Kwon Dae-jung. For better or worse, in danger and in safety, I am yours, and I am yours. He pulled her even closer, needing to feel every inch of her against him. My heart, my soul, my life, all of it belongs to you now. They made love again, slower this time, exploring and savouring. He kissed every inch of her body, learning what made her gasp and moan. She did the same to him, her touches driving him wild with need. When they finally came together again, it felt like coming home. As dawn broke over the city, they lay wrapped in each other's arms, exhausted and complete. Thandi traced the scars on his chest, her touch feather light. No more running. She whispered the promise against his skin. No matter what comes, we face it together. Together. He agreed, kissing the top of her head. Always together. Outside, the city woke up to a new day. Inside the penthouse, two people who had been broken and lost had found each other and become whole. The danger would not disappear. His enemies would still threaten them. Life would still be complicated and difficult, but they had each other, and that made everything else bearable. Thandi had walked into his darkness and refused to leave. She had chosen love over safety, passion over peace, him over everything else, and in doing so, she had given him the greatest gift imaginable, a reason to live, a reason to hope, a reason to believe that even someone as damaged and dangerous as him deserved happiness. He tightened his arms around her sleeping form, breathing in the scent of her hair. 7 days ago, he had been dying inside, the numbness creeping back in, stealing away everything she had given him, but she had come back. She had chosen him, and now, holding her in his arms as the sun rose on their new life together, Kwon Dae-jung finally understood what it meant to be truly alive, not just feeling physical sensations or emotions, but having something worth living for, someone worth dying for, a future worth fighting for. She stirred in her sleep, unconsciously pressing closer to him. He smiled. Something that came easier now. Tomorrow they would deal with his enemies. Tomorrow they would plan a wedding and figure out how to blend their two very different worlds. Tomorrow they would start building a life together. But today, right now, in this moment, they were just two people who loved each other completely, and that was enough. That was everything. I love you, Thandiwe. He whispered the words against her temple, even though she was still asleep. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for being brave enough to love someone like me. She did not answer, lost in dreams, but her hand found his in her sleep, fingers intertwining. Even unconscious, she reached for him. Even in sleep, she chose him, and that was all the answer he needed. 6 months later, the yacht rocked gently on the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. White flowers draped every surface, and soft music played from hidden speakers. The sun was beginning its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Thandi stood in the yacht's master cabin, looking at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was simple but elegant. White silk that hugged her curves and flowed to the floor. No veil, just fresh flowers woven into her natural curls. She touched the jade bracelet on her wrist, the one Master Choi had given her. Something old for luck. A knock at the door made her turn. Her mother entered, tears already streaming down her face. Oh, my baby. Naledi pressed her hands to her chest. You look like a queen. I feel like I am dreaming. Thandi smoothed her dress nervously. What if I wake up and none of this is real? It is real, and you deserve every bit of happiness coming to you. Her mother took her hands. I know I was hesitant about Dae-jung at first, but these past months, seeing how he treats you, how he looks at you like you hung the moon and stars, I know you made the right choice. He is a good man, Mama. Despite everything else, he has a good heart. He is a dangerous man who loves you more than life itself. That makes him good enough for me. Naledi kissed her daughter's forehead. Now come. Your future husband is wearing a hole in the deck with his pacing. On deck, Dae-jung stood with Hiroshi beside him, both men in sharp black suits. But Dae-jung kept tugging at his tie, his usual confidence replaced with nervous energy. Boss, you need to relax. Hiroshi adjusted his friend's collar for the third time. She already said yes. She is not going to run. What if she changes her mind? What if she realizes she deserves better than a criminal who puts her in danger? Dae-jung ran his hand through his hair. What if this is all a mistake? Then you are an idiot. Master Choi appeared from the other side of the deck, his weathered face creased with amusement. That woman loves you. Anyone with eyes can see it. Stop doubting and start enjoying your wedding day. Before Dae-jung could respond, the music changed. Everyone turned toward the cabin entrance, and then Thandiwe appeared. Time stopped. The world narrowed to just her walking toward him, the sunset backlighting her like she was an angel descended from heaven. Dae-jung forgot how to breathe, forgot how to think. All he could do was stare at the woman who had saved his life in every way a person could be saved. She reached him, and he took her hands in his. They were trembling. Both of them were trembling. Hi. She smiled up at him, tears glistening in her eyes. Hi. He smiled back, his own eyes burning. You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. The ceremony was short but meaningful. They had written their own vows, and when it came time to speak them, Dae-jung's voice was thick with emotion. Thandiwe, 3 years ago I died inside. I lost the ability to feel joy, love, desire, anything that made me human. I accepted that I would live the rest of my life as an empty shell. He squeezed her hands. Then you danced onto that stage and brought me back to life. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave me love when I thought I was unlovable. You gave me a future when all I saw was darkness. His voice cracked. I promise to spend every day of our lives together proving I am worthy of the gift you have given me. I promise to protect you, cherish you, and love you. With everything I am, you are my miracle, and I will never forget that. Thandi could barely see him through her tears. Dae-jung, when I came to America, I thought I was searching for money to save my family, but what I found was so much more. I found a man who saw me, truly saw me, when I felt invisible. A man who made me feel precious and powerful and loved beyond measure. She took a shaky breath. Your world is dangerous, and our life will never be normal. But I would rather have one day of this incredible love than a lifetime of safety without you. You are my home, my heart, my forever. And I promise to stand by your side through everything, to love you through the darkness and the light, and to never let you forget that you deserve to be happy. There was not a dry eye on the yacht as the judge pronounced them husband and wife. When Dae-jung kissed her, the small gathering erupted in cheers, but the couple heard none of it. They were lost in each other, sealing their promises with a kiss that tasted like salt and love and forever. The reception was intimate, just close family and the few people Dae-jung trusted with his life. They ate amazing food, danced under the stars, and celebrated love winning against impossible odds. Later, as the yacht sailed slowly along the coast, Thandi found Daejung standing at the railing, looking out at the dark water. She wrapped her arms around him from behind, resting her cheek against his back. "What are you thinking about?" She felt his heart beating steady and strong under her palm. "About how different my life is now compared to 6 months ago, how much has changed." He turned in her arms, pulling her against him. "I have a wife, a family, a reason to wake up every morning. You gave me all of that. We gave it to each other." She looked up at him. "You gave me love I never knew existed. You gave me security and support for my family. You made my dreams possible." Speaking of dreams, he pulled back slightly, his expression nervous again. "I know you have been taking online nursing courses, but I was thinking, what if you could go to a real university, get your degree properly? I can arrange security, make sure you are safe on campus." Her heart swelled. "You would do that, even though it means I would be away from you during the day. I want you to have everything you ever dreamed of. If nursing is your dream, then I will make it happen." He cupped her face. "I do not want you to give up who you are just because you married me. I want you to grow and thrive and become everything you are meant to be." She kissed him deeply, pouring all her love into it. "Have I mentioned today that I love you?" Not in the last hour. His hands slid down to her waist, pulling her closer. "You should probably remedy that." "I love you." She kissed his jaw. "I love you." His neck. "I love you." His lips. "And I will never stop loving you." He groaned and swept her up into his arms, carrying her toward their private cabin. "If we stay out here, I am going to make love to my wife right here on the deck where everyone can see. Maybe later." She laughed as he kicked open the cabin door. "But right now, I want you all to myself." They made love on their wedding night, with the gentle rocking of the yacht beneath them. It was passionate and tender, desperate and slow, everything all at once. He touched her like she was made of precious glass. She gave herself to him completely, holding nothing back. Afterward, they lay tangled together, his hand resting possessively on her hip. "I have something to tell you." Her voice was quiet in the darkness. "Something I found out yesterday." She felt him tense. "What is it? Are you okay? Are you in danger?" "No, nothing like that." She took his hand and moved it from her hip to her lower belly. "I am pregnant. We are going to have a baby." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then she felt wetness on her shoulder and realized he was crying. "Dae-young!" She turned to face him, alarmed by his tears. "Are you okay? Is this not good news?" "It is the best news." His voice broke as he pressed his palm flat against her stomach. "A baby. Our baby. A piece of you and me combined into something new and beautiful and innocent." "Are you scared?" She wiped his tears gently. "Terrified," he admitted. "I do not know how to be a father. My own father was a monster. What if I do not know how to be good? What if I hurt them the way I was hurt?" "You will not." She said it with absolute certainty. "Because you know what it feels like to be hurt. You will protect them from ever feeling that way. Because you know what it is like to be numb and empty. You will make sure they feel loved and cherished every single day. You will be an amazing father, Dae-young. I have no doubt about that." He kissed her belly reverently. "Hello in there, little one. This is your father. I do not know what I am doing yet, but I promise I will learn. I promise I will love you more than anything in this world, and I promise I will spend my whole life making sure you and your mother are safe and happy." Thandi felt tears slide down her own cheeks, watching this powerful, dangerous man transform into someone soft and vulnerable because of their unborn child was the most beautiful thing she had ever witnessed. "Do you want to know what the doctor said?" She ran her fingers through his hair. "Tell me everything. It is a girl." Joy radiated from her voice. We are having a daughter. Something in Dae-young's expression shifted, softened, became almost holy in its intensity. A daughter. A little girl with your eyes and your smile and your kind heart. And your strength and your determination and your fierce love, she added. He moved back up to hold her properly, his hand never leaving her belly. 6 months ago, I thought my life was over. I thought the best I could hope for was existing without really living. But you changed everything. You gave me back my ability to feel. You gave me love. You gave me hope. And now you are giving me a family. You gave me all those things too. She kissed him softly. We saved each other. They fell asleep like that, his hand protective over their growing daughter, their hearts beating in sync. Outside, the yacht continued its gentle journey through the night. Inside, 2 people who had been broken and lost had found wholeness in each other's arms. The next morning, they stood on deck, watching the sunrise. Dae-young stood behind Thandi, his arms wrapped around her, his hands resting on the slight swell of her belly that held their daughter. Can you feel that? His voice was filled with wonder. She is moving. Thandi placed her hands over his. She knows her daddy's voice already. He rested his chin on her shoulder, and when he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. You did not just give me back my manhood, Thandiwe. You gave me back my humanity, my future, my everything. You gave me a reason to be better, to do better, to want more from life than just survival. She turned in his arms, reaching up to cup his face. And you gave me a love I never knew existed, a love that is fierce and protective and all-consuming, a love that makes me brave enough to face anything. They kissed as the sun rose fully over the horizon, painting the world in gold and promise. Their journey had been unconventional, dangerous, built on a foundation that should never have worked, a business deal that became so much more. But love rarely made sense. It did not follow rules or logic. It just existed, powerful and transformative, changing everything it touched. Kwon Dae-jung had been dead inside, a walking ghost, going through the motions of living. Thandiwe Okafor had been struggling to survive, sacrificing her dreams to save her family. Together, they had found something neither knew they needed. Not just love, but salvation, redemption, a second chance at life when both had thought their stories were already written. As they stood on that yacht, watching the waves sparkle in the morning light, with their daughter growing inside her and their future stretching out bright and full of possibility, they knew one truth with absolute certainty. They had been brought together by need and money and desperation, but they would stay together because of choice and love and commitment. Whatever dangers lay ahead, whatever challenges they would face them together, forever bound by a love that had literally brought a dead man back to life and given a lost woman a home. Their story was just beginning, and it was going to be extraordinary. Did their love story touch your heart? Subscribe and hit that like button to see more incredible romance stories where love conquers all against impossible odds.